Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Kritika. I'm working as an education counselor in IMC Institute, and we'll be just starting with the session soon. So, before we go ahead with the session, I would just like to introduce IMC Institute to everyone here. So, I would like to welcome all of you for joining us today for Green Belt session. So this is basically the first day of our class for the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. Before we start, I just want to give you a brief introduction about IMC Institute. We are a certification body that provides certification for Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, Black Belt, and Master Black Belt. And we also provide training for supply chain management and PMP training certification. We basically believe in shaping successful transformations. We basically what we do is we provide training and consulting together. As discussed, we were offering Lean Six Sigma, Yellow Belt, Green Belt, Black Belt, and Master Black Belt, supply chain management, and project management professional as well. We are accredited with 3 big institutions all around the world. First is CPD, that is from UK, London.
क्लास चालू हो
Second
गए
is
वापस
Council
ब्लैक
of
बेल्ट का
Six Sigma
आज से
certification,
चालू
that
हो
is
रहा है
again from
वापस
USA. And another is International Quality Federation, that is from USA. We are actually also approved by Activate, and Activate is Abu Dhabi Center for Technical and Vocational and Education Training. We just don't provide training, but we are also supporting our clients throughout the process until they are certified. Now, I will be handing over the session to our trainer, Mr. Shivendra. I would like to request you, Mr. Shivendra, to kindly start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Kritika. A very good evening to all of you. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are present. My name is Shivendra Sharma, and I'll be going to your Black Belt, Six Sigma Black Belt trainer for the rest of the 8 sessions. So before we begin our training, let's do a small round of introduction from each of you. And I see there are a good number of participants in this training. There are almost 18, 19 participants. So how you will be going is you will be talking about your name, which organization you come from, and what exactly is your profile which you're working right now, and do you have any exposure of process improvement in your current organization or in your previous organization. So let's begin with Philip Pont Blanco, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Hello.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. So my name is Philip Blanco. You can call me Phil for short. I actually did not hear the last part of the instructions, but I'm from Kajin Business Services Manila, and I am the continuous improvement and excellence manager in our organization. So I basically work with various leaders of this center in order to promote continuous improvements, build the culture around this aspect of our capability as a center, and of course, making sure that we are following the excellence framework that we have agreed upon to in delivering our outputs that matter to our customer. I hope I answered all the questions there.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you and welcome. Let's move to Anup Oscar.
Hey, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anup Oscar. I'm from Mumbai. I'm working for a edtech organization. Its name is White Hat Education Technology Private Limited. I'm working here in the capacity of a director, and so I'm working here in the capacity of a director for the concierge services. Apart from that, I have worked on projects which are related to kind of, improve the customer satisfaction rating, also the NPS ratings and all. That's all about me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anup, and welcome to the training. Let's move to Animesh. Hello, Animesh. Animesh, can you hear us? Animesh, can you hear us? One second. I don't know what's the problem. Okay, I don't think Animesh is here. Let's move to Ahmed Arif.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Ahmed. Actually, I'm currently living in Abu Dhabi and working in a construction company. And I'm actually working in procurement and contracts. And I'm trying to get my black belt through this session, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you and welcome,
Thank you.
Ahmed. Let's move to Amita Karne.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Amita Karne from Mumbai, India. I am the owner director of two companies, which is a pharmaceutical manufacturing company, and one is a contract research organization. I have joined this course because I have been dealing with a lot of projects. Also, being a pharmaceutical company, we have quality-based project management. And that is why I wanted to learn Lean Six Sigma. Though I have been practicing it, I wanted to start it for my new projects. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome, Dr. Amita. Let's move to Chard Malaluan, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes, thank you. That is correct. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. This is Richard Malaluan, and my friends call me Chard. So I'm from Manila, and I'm working as one of the operations managers in one of the BPO centers here in the Philippines. So mainly I'm in charge of people, especially in terms of creating their metrics and KPIs. So I've joined this session for me to enhance my learning about Lean Six Sigma and hopefully be certified in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome, Chad. Let's move to Charilo Rodriguez.
Hello, good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Cherry Rodriguez. I'm from Kaizen Business Services, Manila. I'm in charge of supply chain management and customer care here. So I really would love to learn more in order to improve the processes here for my team. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlo, and welcome. Let's move to Charles T. Leon.
Hello, this is Charles De Leon. I am the head of Kaizen Business Services Manila. Kaizen is a global biotechnology company, and we have established the shared services organization in Manila. As you can see, there's quite a lot of Kaizen, students here. We are really aiming for really process improvement projects and initiatives in our organization, and I would like the Manila, leaders to drive, process improvements. And yes, we do have background around, Lean Six Sigma and process improvement initiatives.
That's great. Thank you and welcome, Charles. Let's move to Denmark, Gabriel.
Hi everyone, my name is Denmark and I'm part of the finance and accounting group of Kaizen Business Services Manila. So as what Giles has mentioned, with our company experience a rapid growth in terms of our sales and in terms of the scope expansion of the service center. I believe this training would actually enable us to further support the company initiatives in terms of further making our processes more efficient, and at the same time deliver more value to the company. So really happy to be part of this batch for learning.
Perfect. Thank you and welcome. Let's move to Div, DIV.
Hello, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Dev. I'm from the island of Mauritius and currently working as Health, Safety, Environment and Quality Manager in the railway industry. Formerly, I was working in the power plant. So I've crossed IMC through Facebook. I joined in and now I'm here, hopefully for the Master Black Belt.
Thank you and welcome. This is a Black Belt training program, not a Master Black Belt training program.
Yes, Black Belt.
Moving to Eric Savalos Jr.
Hello, good day to all. It's already 5:30, almost turning night here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So my name is Eric. I am working as a quality and safety manager in an aviation company here in Riyadh. We are servicing in 11 airports in the kingdom, and at the same time, I'm working and overseeing all the operations, quality and safety. So basically, I just finished my green belt the other week with IMC Institute, and now I'm taking my black belt to further proceed and finish this certification process. Though the aviation requires a 12 Sigma, not a 6 Sigma, but then again, this could even help me and add on to the knowledge. So I'm very much interested and excited to finish this course. Thank you.
Before we move to the next participant, so we'll talk about this when we say the aviation requires 12 Sigma and the 6 Sigma stuff. The methodology that you're going to cover in this training program, that is common to all the processes, irrespective of what Sigma level they are operating. But we'll discuss this point in this training program so that it gets clear to everyone. But it's good that you attended the Green Belt program, so you would be aware of most of the things I'll be talking in this training session. It would be kind of refresher, and then we'll be talking some advanced concepts also. Let's move to Esperanza. Esperanza, can you hear us?
Yes, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Esperanza Padilla, call me SP for brevity. I work here in Manila, Philippines. I'm a certified public accountant by profession, and I'm currently the financial reporting manager for the regional finance manager for Southeast Asia, and that includes 9 countries. I've been passionate about process improvement, and I did a lot of projects so on that direction. And you know, I really have this insatiable obsession for process improvement, and I'm brewing with ideas and on a lot of automation and other process improvement projects in my current job, and I wish to be certified as black belt. That's all for me now. Thank you.
Thank you, Esperanza. Let's move to Illy Babu Thiagarajan.
Hi, this is Dilip Tyagarajan. I'm from Chennai, India. I work as a manager in BPO sector. Actually, my domain is mortgage.
Thank you and welcome. We have someone whose name is CUAV, CUAA. I don't know if you can, I don't know who this person is.
That's my computer ID. It's Angela Kuwan from the Philippines.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry. So actually, this is my, I think, second session already for black belt. I haven't taken the exam yet, but my motivation really to enroll in this class is specifically for my new role as a project management officer for supply chain. So I want to be able to give 100% to my new role by learning the Six Sigma and the PMP.
That's great. Thank you and welcome. Abdul Wakas. Abdul. Shibanaz Sheikh.
I'm Shibna Sheikh from Gujarat, India. I'm working in West Africa as a quality designer advisor. So I am looking from this session is to get more knowledge of process improvement, so I can perform well in my role.
Perfect. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Sangeeta Prasad. Sangeeta Prasad. Okay, we can't hear her.
Hi, good
Yeah, go
evening.
ahead.
I'm Sangeeta Prasad, working for Americana Group in Dubai. I work as head of finance shared service center. So we plan to expand beyond finance in the coming days and working on a couple of finance transformation projects. I am a certified green belt already, but I would want to enhance my Six Sigma skills because there's a lot of continuous improvement projects coming up.
Thank you and welcome. Let's move to Rakesh. Rakesh K. Oh, not sure if Rakesh can hear us. Nishant Menon.
Hi, good evening. My name is Nishant Menon from Kuwait. I'm working for FMCG distribution in for last 15 years, and we are handling many foodstuffs and non-food products. Recently, I have completed my green belt from IMC Abu Dhabi, and I'm looking for black belt to improve ours, and we are looking for to implement Six Sigma in our company. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Norilyn. Norilyn, can you hear us? Not sure if Norilyn can hear us.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Norilyn Monzones. I'm working in Ras Al Khaimah, UAE, and in charge in the laboratory. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Mohammed Daoud.
Yep, available. Fine. My name is Mohammed Dawood. I'm in UAE. I'm working as a customer service manager for FMCG company. I completed my yellow, green belt, expecting to understand the black belt.
Thank you and welcome. Lalit Singh Nayal.
Yeah, hi. My name is Lalit Nayal from India, Delhi. And I'm working as a credit controller for one of the leading industrial automation company for South Asia. And recently I have completed my yellow and green belt from IMC, and now looking forward for the Six Sigma black belt certification.
Thank you and welcome. JC Rees.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm JC Reyes. I'm with Kaizen Business Services Manila as the Finance Transformation Manager. So I have a green belt training, and one of my core responsibilities is to identify and lead improvement projects, specifically within the finance area. And I'm really looking forward for all the additional knowledge that I will be gaining from this training. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Jean Matriaga.
Hi guys, my name is Jean Madriaga, also from Kaizen Business Services Manila. I'm in charge and working on service and performance management of the center. Looking forward for acquiring some more knowledge for the Lean Six Sigma, as the team and is working on some projects for this coming year and this coming 2021 and the coming years. So looking forward for that.
Thank you, Jean. Jason San Augustine.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So my name is Jason San Agustin. I also work for Kaizen Business Services Manila as a manager for transition and business contingencies. And I hope that this training will further develop our skills on Six Sigma methodologies, lean concepts, and other methods that can be used for continuous or process improvements. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Is there anyone whose name I did not call, because I've gone through the list and I've tried to ensure that everyone has introduced themselves. Is there anyone who is left who would like to introduce himself or herself? Okay, perfect. So good evening and good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Shivendra Sharma. My nickname is Shiven. I'll give a small introduction from myself and then we'll start this training. I am a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt from Indian Statistical Institute, Hyderabad. I'm based in India and I worked with various clients. I worked with Reliance in India. I've been a management consultant for a couple of companies, did training in India and overseas also. Guys, if you can put yourself on mute if you are not speaking. Perfect, thank you. Okay. I work with Amazon, DuPont, Ashland, a couple of pharmaceutical companies, and then here I am. I've done training for, I do a lot of training for Black Belt, Green Belt, Yellow Belt, Lean, Balanced Scorecard, India and abroad, to consulting assignment with clients on process improvement, strategy, and business transformation. And I'm associated with IMC as one of the trainers, as I'm associated with other organizations as well. I am on the boards of ISSC, which is a leading quality body in the world. So here we are going to spend 8 sessions on the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt training. Before we begin the training, let me just put some things. As this is a large group, normally Black Belt groups are not this large. I see around 24, 25 participants. This is a seriously large group. And this is also a very, very varied group. People have come from different organizations, different experience level, industry, and different backgrounds, so which is really good. So we have only 24 hours to spend on this training program. Black Belt training program are usually a little longer, but we sometimes try to condense it here, let's say 3 days in total or 24 hours. So I'll be covering the Six Sigma methodology in these in these 8 sessions of 3 hours each. One thing that I will be talking about the important concepts which you can use in your day-to-day life, which you can use in your operations and in your work environment. Some of the concepts that are not so important, are not used that much, we would skip them, but you will be given the reference material that you can of course look at, go through, and ask more questions if you have any. So one thing I will also like to suggest to everyone, if one of you can take the lead and create a WhatsApp group so that all of you can join the WhatsApp group and we can discuss a lot of things. If you need any guidance, if you're asking any question, I can share a lot of material with all of you in that WhatsApp group, which can be an ebook, some reference material, or anything of that sort. You can ask a question, we can keep ourselves updated on the training schedule and so on, and also to stay in touch later on. But that completely depends on you. Whosoever would like to join that group, more than welcome. If you don't want to join the group, you can write to me using my email ID. But that's one thing we always try to do so that everyone stays aware of what's happening and how we are progressing. Okay, before we begin this entire training session, anyone has any questions so far which they would like to ask before the training program begins? Any general question on the training, certification, affiliation, anything? Okay, no questions. Perfect. That's really nice. So this training is going to be very, very interactive. We will be using a statistical software called as Minitab that we will use for the analysis, data analysis, and also for a lot of graphical interpretation that we'll be doing in this training program. You don't have to download the Minitab software now because you don't have to do it as of now, because you just need to see what I'm doing on the screen with Minitab. If you want to download and do some additional exercises, you can always do that. But for the training per se, you don't have to do it as of now. But if you want to practice, you can always do that. Okay. So before we begin this training per se, let me give you a little background of how things have started and where the concept of Six Sigma has come. And just let me know if you can all see my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Yes, we can see it.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. So let me give you a little background of where did things start and where are we right now. So we are all aware that the war as an event, which is, of course, it's an adverse event to happen, but war as an event has changed the world for better for a lot of things, because the way these war happened and what happened in those wars, of course, minus the negative part, but there was something that changed the entire world after that. So if you talk about World War II, if you think of World War II, there were some few things that happened in that World War II that had never happened before. For example, entire world was fighting with each other. There were many countries involved in it. So there were millions of people who were moving from one place to another. There was weapons which was being produced in that capacity, which never happened. The cloth, food, supply chain, transportation material, and transportation itself. These things were being produced at such a large level that the world had never seen. So the concept of mass production, actually, if you look at, originated from World War II. Not just production, but also to distribute and also to and also to make it cheaper and faster as well. These things had never happened before. So World War II was a great event to happen. Not in terms of that it really should have happened. Thing is like what happened in World War II, blessing in disguise, some of these things that changed the world for better. For example, the technological revolutions that happened after that. And we are aware that when US bombed Japan, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, they got destroyed. And then the US also went to Japan to understand the industrial practices there and also to teach some of them. So we had two gentlemen whose name was Joseph Zuran and W. Edward Deming. These were the two gentlemen who went there to understand the Japanese industrial practices and also to teach them. And that's when Toyota as a company happened. Before Toyota, there's a company called Ford Motors. We may all be aware of Ford Motors as an organization. So they make cars. Henry Ford, who was the founder of Ford Motors, he was obsessed with color black. He was okay to make any car and he made it only black. But when Toyota entered the market, they started making cars of different with different features. They were cheaper, and also they were offering a lot of features which Ford Motors or Ford cars did not offer. So Ford slowly and gradually started capturing the market share of Ford, and they soon became one of the largest car selling companies in the world. So Toyota was using a method that no other company was using at that time, and they called that method of making the cars better, faster, and cheaper. They called it Toyota Production System. Toyota will use their own production system to make a car better and cheaper. Toyota Production System. In short, it's called TPS. Now, this Toyota Production System, they developed it and they created a lot of methodologies. Some of those methodologies, which you today call as lean methodologies, it was developed in Toyota. And Toyota Production System consisted of all those methodologies, which we combined called as lean methodologies. So in today's world, if you look at, if you want to make a product or a service better, faster and cheaper, more or less, you will be using the same method that Toyota used back in 60s and 70s, Toyota Production System. It has evolved now, but the core concept that Toyota uses, they still use the same methodology. So that was about Toyota, but things did not stop with Toyota. In 1987, we had a company called Motorola. They developed a term, they came up with a term called as Six Sigma. 1987. Motorola. They came up with a term called as Six Sigma. Six Sigma is the name of a methodology. So we'll talk about what is Six Sigma and so on, obviously, but they only came up with a term this called Six Sigma, which meant how do I measure the variation in the process? Variation with respect to the customer specification requirements. My customer is expecting me to produce something, or there is a service that I need to deliver. I need to do a certain job in 3 days or 4 days, or I need to produce a product which should have as less defects as possible. But the product that I'm currently delivering has a lot of defects. I'm getting a lot of complaints and rejections, or the service I'm delivering, I'm not able to do it on time. Most of the time, I am very late. So this is called understanding the variation in the process. So Motorola as an organization, they came up with a term that was, which they called as Six Sigma, which is actually a methodology. There is a methodology behind that term, which we will talk. How do I measure the variation in the process and then reduce that variation in the process? So they used a term called a Six Sigma methodology. Why they call it Six Sigma methodology? Because Six Sigma is a level of quality. So if you want to reach that level of quality, which is Six Sigma level of quality, you need to use a method. That method we'll talk in this entire training program. That training program is based on that method that can take you to the level of Six Sigma and beyond, not just Six Sigma and beyond. So the methodology will remain same, irrespective of what quality level you are at or which quality level you want to reach. The method remains same. Nothing changes in the method. So anyways, we'll talk about that. So Motorola is a company that came up with that term. After Motorola, another company called Allied Signal, which is also called as Honeywell, acquired by Honeywell. So they also use Six Sigma in their own processes. But the world still did not know that there is something called a Six Sigma in that detail. And it was not a popular methodology until General Electric, whose CEO was Jack Welch back then, in 1995. He became so fascinated with Six Sigma as a methodology, and he said, okay, I will train my 300,000 employees across the globe in Six Sigma methodology. And he used Six Sigma, and it took him 6 years. It took him 6 years to reach the quality level of Six Sigma. That I'll talk about his quality level and so on. But he reached quality levels of Six Sigma in 6 years in 2001. And just by deploying Six Sigma in the organization, he had saved 4.2 billion US dollar. 4.2 billion US dollar. And he had invested 45 million US dollar in the training for all the employees. And after General Electric, they used it extensively. So the credit goes to General Electric for making Six Sigma popular across the globe, and also to bringing Six Sigma from manufacturing to the service industry. So in today's world, if you look at any industry, be it bank, be it customer service, be it telecom, be it internet, be it sales, be it marketing, HR, everywhere, service industry, hardcore, Six Sigma is used extensively. So they may not be calling it Six Sigma, but they may be calling some other name. Different names have come up these days: operational excellence, business excellence, customer excellence, process excellence. So all these excellence word, basically they target towards ensuring to meet customer demand. They all are moving towards the same targets, meeting customer demand. So they have set up these names, but the concept is same that Toyota used back then, Lean and the Six Sigma methods. So nothing changes in that part. You can call it anything you want to. So in today's world, more or less all the industries and companies, they use the Lean and Six Sigma method in some or other forms. Nothing has changed since then. And some of the great pioneers who have contributed towards the success and evolution of the Lean and Six Sigma methodologies and made them famous, made them very important tools, and also they have developed them. Some of them are, like, as I said, Henry Ford, Taichi Ono, it's Shigeo Shingo, James Womack. Some of these names are very common. You will see some of these questions. You may find some of the questions in your exam which talk about this time, not the timeline, but these organizations or these pioneers who contributed in Six Sigma evolution and development. And this is a typical timeline starting from where you don't have to remember any of that thing. It's just I'm trying to tell you how things started when it came to Six Sigma and so on. So what all these years in these companies, what they had worked towards, a method called as Lean philosophy. So let me ask you a question. Ignore what you see on the slide. If I ask you, what do you think of the English word Lean? What comes in your mind? Anyone?
It means no excess. Lean, trend out.
Sorry, I could not hear you.
It means no excess, no fat, no buffer.
Very good. No fat. Yes. Very good. Very good. Anyone else? Anyone else would
No
like
waste.
to? No waste. Yes. Very good. Very good. What else?
Slimmer, fitter.
Slimmer, fitter. Yes, absolutely right. Very good.
Clean, crystal clear.
Very good. Clean, crystal clear. So all the answers which all of you said are absolutely clear. So let me put this into the perspective here. Let's say there is a competition wherein there is a person who's fit, who doesn't have weight. Who doesn't have fat, who's absolutely fit, who runs every day. And there is a person who is not so fit, who has some excess weight, he has some fat on his body. But these two individuals, they have to run in a race. And the race is, they have to run for 100 meters and they will take a 10 minutes break. Again, they will run for 100 meters and will take a 10 minutes break. They have to repeat this for 8 hours. That's the challenge. What will happen? The first 100 meters, both will be able to run. Now, the victory depends upon who completes the 8 hours race. So both the individuals, they complete the 100-meter race. It does not matter who completed first. That is immaterial right now. So both will complete 100-meter race in whatever time. The person who is very fit, who has less fat, will take 10 minutes break and will go for the next 100-meter session. Again, take a 10 minutes break, again go for a 100-meter session. Second person who is little fat will complete 100-meter race, will take a 10 minutes break, go for a 100-meter race again. So this fat person, while repeating this sequence again and again, will become tired. First person will also be tired, but he will be less tired. Second person will be little more tired. What might happen during this entire 100-meter race and so on, that this person who is extra fat might take sometime more than 10 minutes break. He might sometime take 15 minutes break. Then the break timing will increase 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And at the end, he might have to take an hour or 2 hour break. And it might also happen that this person is not able to complete the race. He can give up, he'll break down because his body will not support to go on that long. So what analogy I'm trying to draw here is, now you said the person who is not lean or the person who is lean, they have no fat or less fat. They are very fit. Same thing happens in the processes. Whichever process you guys are working in different organizations or you come from, customer service, software, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, hospitality, any sector you come from, we all deal with a lot of processes. Our processes also have a lot of fat. Now, what is that fat in our process? For example, if you have to wait for an information, if you have to wait for the feedback, you have to wait for the approvals, you have to wait for the material, so whenever you are waiting, so that you are waiting for anything to complete or to receive it from someone, that waiting period is waste in the process. That is delaying your process. One type of waste, one type of fat. Another type of fat is when you have to move to different documents, different departments, different people, you have to find an information, and that takes you longer than that it should have been because things are not structured, organized, and well-mannered or not streamlined. So you take extra time. So you have to work or find that information in various places. So that is called motion. You're moving a lot to find an information. That's again a waste. Another waste is when you produce more than the required demand, because you think in future we may have this demand. So that's called a waste. Example is IT departments at times. In one of my organizations, I requested a docking station monitor and a printer and a mouse. And I put together details in one IT ticket, and this person came back saying, sir, you have to create 3 tickets because each request will be separate for each IT equipment. No, I can do this in 1 ticket, but he said, no, you have to do it in 3 tickets. So as a customer, this process doesn't make sense to me. Why do you need to create 3 tickets? You will say, no, the process is such, that's how it should have been. But as a customer, it doesn't make sense to me. It's overproduction. That's type of waste. Similarly, overprocessing. You provide more information than you should normally provide. So you take time in doing that information, but it doesn't make sense to anyone. So these are different type of waste, which does not make your process fit, which makes your process fat. And because of this, the process becomes slow. For example, a road, if you pour water on a road or a flat surface, the water should be able to flow or travel from one end to the another end. But if there are holes, if there are some objects, the water will be flowing through it. Water will be finding its way and flowing through that object and through that hole. So water speed will be slow. Ideally, it should be continuous flow. You pour the water on the floor, it should be able to smooth. It should be able to flow smooth. Similarly, process also should follow a method of flow. There should be no obstacle in the way of an input or a customer request. It should be as simple. Customer requests something, you receive it, you analyze the request, you find information, you provide the solution to the customer. That's how it's simple it should be. That is the ideal world, but that does not happen. So that means your process doesn't have a flow, or the flow that you have right now is not a continuous flow. So this entire philosophy put together, when we look at value, there are what customer values in a process. I do not value 3 tickets for 3 different IT equipments. I do not value that process. And in that process, entire step, it talks about what is a value stream. It doesn't have flow. Pull means what is needed by the customer. Rather than you pushing something into the market and creating demand for it, there should be a demand for a process or a product in itself in the market. So that means process should follow the concept of pull. And perfection, 0 defects. All these concepts together, they form a methodology called as lean philosophy. This is what Toyota believed, and this is what Toyota's worked on. We'll anyways talk about all these things in detail. I'm just talking from a high level here. So here I would like to show you a video that talks about Six Sigma and how Six Sigma helps different organizations, different industries. What are different implications of Six Sigma? Any question, by the way, from anyone? So just let me know if you can see the video and also can hear the sound also. Can you hear the sound? Can you all hear?
Yes.
Perfect. So this was a little bit about which is called as the Six Sigma methodology. As you can see that how it really helps different organizations to reach at that level where they can reduce a lot of defect, reduce a lot of variation, and ultimately gain a lot of profits, and also meet customer requirements, of course. So to start with, let's talk about, let's begin our training and cover some grounds here. So Sigma, Six Sigma as you call it, Sigma is a Greek letter. And this Sigma here represents the deviation or the variation in the process. That's what we're looking at. Sigma means the variation in the process. There are three things that we should know about a Six Sigma methodology. People sometimes ask what exactly is Six Sigma methodology. So it's a set of three things that we should understand. One is, which is an obvious, which is that it is a set of some statistical tools. That's obvious. Second, it's a business philosophy. And third, it's a problem-solving approach. Different people perceive it and understand this methodology in the different ways. For example, the top management in an organization will look at Six Sigma as a business philosophy. They will treat it as a cultural thing. They will treat it as a change management, because they believe if everyone embraces Six Sigma methodology, it would have a lot of cultural change in the organization, the way people think about problems. The middle management thinks about Six Sigma as a problem-solving methodology that all the teams and functions should embrace so that they can solve day-to-day issues on their own, and we can be a better organization. We can be more efficient. People who are at the junior level or who have just joined the organizations, they look at Six Sigma as a set of statistical tools that can help them to solve their daily issues. So at different level, the understanding may be different, but at the end of the day, Six Sigma is a set of three things. It's a set of tools, it's a business philosophy, and it's a problem-solving methodology. That's what we need to understand. And what Six Sigma strives, what this methodology does to your process, it gives you a quality which is at 99.9997% quality that you gain when you reach that level, which means effectively 3.4 defects per million opportunity. What this opportunity word, we'll talk about it. So we call it Dpmo, which stands for defect per million opportunity. So if you produce 1 million products, for example, or if you have 1 million transactions happening, or you produce 1 million tablets or medicines, or e-commerce websites, 1 million products being sold, out of those 1 million, I'm talking about only 3.4 defects. That is the level of quality I'm talking about, which effectively means 99.9997% quality. But the key question that comes in here, do I need to reach to this level of quality? And am I doing this training to reach to this level of quality? Answer is absolute big no. You're not doing this training so that you can reach this level of quality. Now, then why are we doing this training? We're doing this training because different industry requires different level of quality. One of the gentlemen in the training said that the aviation industry requires 12 sigma level of quality. So 12 sigma level, you will expect one error in 2 billion. That is a huge, huge, huge change. If you look at it from here, people who are in, let's say, customer service, for them 99.9% quality is a very good quality. Some industries might require only 99% quality, because that's where the entire industry is right now, and you want to be a little ahead of the industry. So you want to ensure you need to maintain that level of quality that you can sustain. So we are not looking at Six Sigma level of quality when it is not needed. We're looking at a quality that can be sustained. Now, be it 99% quality or 99.9% quality or 99.99% quality or 99.997% quality or 12 sigma level of quality, the roadmap to reach that quality will remain same. Nothing will change. And that roadmap is our training, this black belt. We'll use the same methodology, we'll use the same tools, same roadmap, nothing will change. What will change is the continuous improvement cycle. Just like the bulb did not come, using continuous improvement of candles, that did not give you bulb. Bulb came from an innovative and a creative concept. Same thing, you will improve a lot of your process through a lot of automation, a lot of these days analytics that is being used. That would help you to reach to that level of quality. Well, continuous improvement may not take you there, but if you follow these process rigorously over a period of time, do a lot of data analysis, that can help you find those issues that you cannot see from the naked eyes. That's why Six Sigma as a methodology helps you, because it's a data-driven methodology. This slide, which we'll come back to this slide when we have studied some of the statistical concepts like standard deviation. So we'll not look at it. Motorola, we talked about it, that this is the one that invented Six Sigma, and G is the one that perfected Six Sigma. I'll be skipping some of the slides which are not so relevant, because the course material will have 600, 700 slides, and we'll not go through all of them. We'll only look at those slides which are important, and we'll only look at slides only for some period of time, and then we'll move to our data analysis and hands-on. The training will be hands-on 70%. These gentlemen we talked about, Edward Deming, Joseph Zuran, Philip Crosby, Janet Shitaguchi, those who have contributed in the entire development and evolution of Six Sigma methodology. This is an important slide here, so let's spend some time. When you see a process from naked eyes, just when you observe the process, some of the issues that you can find in the process, just by looking at it, you call them low-hanging fruits. These are low-hanging fruits that you can see. So when we go to our jobs after doing this Six Sigma Black Belt training, we will not do exactly what we have just done in the training program, because training program is giving the roadmap to work on a lot of issues. But you should always first look at what are the pressing issues in your processes that you can see before doing any data analysis. For example, you can see customer returns, waste happening in a process. If you can see it, a lot of rejection happening from the process, from the customer, a lot of rework happening on in the process itself. So these are some of the obvious things that you can see in the process. Some of the key metrics that will help you. Okay, quality level has not been that great this month. Our turnaround time is very high. The cost of doing this process is also very high. Some of these things, your dashboards or KPIs will tell you right away. But they will tell you only tip of the iceberg. This is only the tip of the iceberg. Over 80 to 90% you will not be able to see, because to see the other issues, that is actually 80-90%, you need to collect the data, analyze that data for potential problems. So in this methodology of Six Sigma, we would be following the data-driven methodology, where we will collect the data, we'll analyze that data, and we'll try to understand where exactly is the problem, how big is the problem, and we'll analyze the data from various points of view to find the real problem in the process. And these are the real problems in the process. This is what it sees. But if you look at these problems are actually a result of these things, what is happening below. So there are only the symptoms, real problem lies at the bottom. So our data-driven methodology helps us to find those issues. So these are some of the companies which have developed use Six Sigma. Six Sigma can be used anywhere. Yes, it can be used in any part of the organization, in any departments. And yes, this is an important slide where we should spend some time. So, and as a Six Sigma level, we're expecting a 3.4 defects in 1 million opportunities or 1 million transactions if we are doing. Currently, if you look at your current process, it should be operating at this level, 3 Sigma or maybe 2 Sigma. If a process is at 3 Sigma level, you are producing this many defects. 66,807 defects. You will say, no, this is too much. I don't produce these many defects. But this quality level is actually 99.73%. And 99.73% is not bad. If you look at it from in a general environment, companies strive to be at 99%. So if you're already at 99.73%, for example, now this is where most of the company in the globe operate at. That's the average level. So imagine if you're already here and if you're already a market leader at 99.73 and you wish to be a Six Sigma organization, that means you want to further reduce the defects in your process. Imagine the kind of hard work that you will, because you're already doing everything that it takes you to be where you are right now. Now, from there, you want to move ahead and be even superior where nobody can even touch you. Nobody can even think of being near to you. You want to reach at that level. And that is the level we're talking about, a Six Sigma level. So what you're doing right now, that is not enough. So you would need a methodology that can take you beyond what you're doing. And that methodology is what we're going to study today. Some of the savings that companies had, talked about GE around 2 billion and so on. Motorola 16 billion since they started. But this is a slide which is the crux of which is, I would say, the summary of this entire training. This is what we will try to achieve in this entire training, which is this, that a customer gives you specifications. It can give you a lower specification. Customer gives you an upper specification. And in short, we call them LSL and USL. In a product environment, the specification can be the dimensions of the product. In a service environment, it can be the limit of that service. For example, if you are in banking industry, and if it says, let's say if somebody applies for a loan or a mortgage, the time taken to approve or disburse the mortgage or loan to a customer, that should not go beyond a certain number, that in 5 days, the loan should be given to the customer. That's the threshold. If you're going beyond 5, then that's a delay, and that is not a good looking process. Similarly, HR who works in HR department, or people who are in finance, they run the payroll. So when a payroll happens, now this is a general concept in everywhere. When a payroll happens every month, when you get salary, so there are a certain number of employees in the company whose salary may be less or more. That's called payroll defects in the organizations. So finance department working on reducing those payroll defects. Payroll defect is nothing but the upper specification limit is that every month you should not have more than 0.5% errors in total. And lower specification limit is 0. Obviously, lower the better. So the number of errors that every month should be between 0 to 0.5% of total payroll run or total employees. Then only 2-3 employees should receive the error in their payslip. But if that number is going beyond this specification, let's say this graph, if it goes like this, that means you are going beyond specification. This needs to be reduced and it should be within the specification. Now, those who have attended green belt training or anyone in your, if you are aware of it, do you know what kind of graph is that? Have you heard of this kind of graph? What do we call it?
Bell curve.
Bell curve, absolutely right. So this is called a bell curve. And we will study more and more about this bell curve in the coming sessions. Bell curve is also called as normal distribution, and which we'll study later. Let's stick to bell curve. This bell curve is going to be the foundation of a lot of statistical concept that we will cover in this training program. So when you collect data of your process and you try to plot that data, if it looks like this, you also plot the specification, customer specification, lower specification, and upper specification. And then you try to see where are we right now with respect to customer requirements. For example, if your graph looks like this, this is the USL, which is upper specification given by customer. This is LSL, lower specification given by customer. So you see this portion going beyond customer specification, which is called as defect. This is a defect and that needs to be reduced. So to reduce this defect, we should use Six Sigma methodology. So when I've been talking about Six Sigma methodology, what exactly is that? So there are two scenarios in process improvement. One is when we have a process exists, product exists, service exists, and we want to improve it. We want to reduce the defects, reduce the variation in that product or in that service or in that process. So we shall use a methodology called as DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control. This method, DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control, which is a project management framework for Six Sigma methodology. To reach a level of Six Sigma level of quality, we need to follow a project management framework, which is given as DMAIC. So that means if you want to be a Six Sigma level of organizations, in order to reach this, you have to follow a framework which is called a DMAIC. It's a project management framework. So this is for an existing process or a product or a service. But when your process or product does not exist, and you want to design that product or that service or that process, and you want to design it in such a way that from the day one, the quality of the process or product should be at a Six Sigma level quality. Zero defect, almost zero defect from the day one. Almost meeting customer requirement from the day one itself. And then we will further improve it. So we would already start at a high level of quality. So then we use a different method called as design for Six Sigma. That's a methodology we use. And for design for Six Sigma, we use a framework called as DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, design, and verify. But the scope of our training is DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control. So we would look at process improvement methodology and tools that will help us to improve a process or a service or a product that already exists. And we want to reduce defects and variation in that particular process. While DMATV is when you want to launch a new website, for example, you want to launch a new product, you want to launch a new service, you want to design a new process. That's when we'll use it, DMATV, from the scratch, and it does not exist in past. That's one key thing. So you use the DMAIC process to improve the quality of or reduce the defects. You use it one time, and we run projects. A green belt project can go on for 2 to 5 months. A black belt project can go on for 6 months to 1 year or more, because black belt projects are complex in nature. Organization-wide are black belt projects. Green belt projects are typically limited to your function, or maybe 1 or 2 functions. They are not as complex as a black belt project. So you look at your process, you improve it once, you get some benefits. You again use the DMAIC on that process. You use the same DMAIC again and again. And every time you use DMAIC process on that process, DMAIC framework on a process, quality level starts going up slowly. So imagine if you do the same thing 4 and 5 times, 5th time, you will not even know what new to be done now. That is when reaching Six Sigma level becomes very, very, very difficult, because it needs rigorous and consistently doing the same thing and looking at data analysis and trying to find new ways of improving it. That is why it is not an easy thing to do. You can do it once, you can do it twice, but you cannot do it multiple times. So what do we do it in DMAIC? How this framework works? So this framework is a project management framework, as I said. It has 5 steps or 5 phases, you can call them: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. These are the 5 phases. The first phase, which is called the define phase, this is the scope of our training. The first phase, which is called as define phase, it defines that who are the customers that who have a problem or who are facing the problem, and what are their requirements, what are the expectations. This is what we understand in define phase, and we launch a project or we kick off a project in define phase. In the measure phase, the pain or the problem that customers are facing, we try to understand that pain. We try to gather data for that pain, and we try to understand, okay, what is the current state of the process or the problem that is being faced by the customers. In the analyze phase, whatever problem or pain that we identified in the measure phase, the current state, we try to understand what are the root causes of that pain, why that pain occurs, why there is that problem. That we find in analyze phase. Analyze phase, we find the root causes. In the improve phase, we try to build solutions that can eliminate those root causes. And these solutions we need to design, we need to build, implement, also to assess any risk in those solutions that we have just designed. That's what we do in the improve phase. And at the end of the improve phase, when we are in the control phase, we need to ensure that the solutions that we have designed, which we have implemented, that has given us some results. Those results should be sustainable over a long term. It should not go back to its previous state where it was. That should never happen. So your solution should be scalable, repeatable, and replicable in different different processes. So in order to do that, we need to build a control plan. That we do it in control phase. This is what we do in 5 phases called define, measure, analyze, improve. Customer, we identify who the customers are, what are the problems. We understand the problem, we measure what the customer problems are, we understand current state of the process. We find root cause in a problem. We eliminate root cause, and then we build solutions. And then we build solutions scalable. We build a control plan that can sustain the gains. This is what we do in those 5 phases. One thing which is important, that after each phase, there is a review happens, which is called as whole gate review. Whole gate review. It is called as whole gate review because if you have not done satisfactorily performance after each of the phase, your project will be reviewed after each phase. And those who are reviewing your project, if they are not satisfied with your with the deliverables of phase, then they will say you have to go back. Until you have worked satisfactorily on these aspects, we will not allow you to move to the next phase. So a toll gate review is basically a go and no go decision. And I'm sure you'll be aware of a toll gate review. One caveat. Define phase basically is a project management phase. We do not do any specific Lean or Six Sigma tool in define phase, barring 1 or 2. So whatever I'm going to talk in define phase, most of you will already be aware of, because this is a project management phase. How project management should be done, how project should be launched or selected, identified. These things we'll be doing in the define phase. The real work, things start getting serious when we are in the measure phase. That's when the Six Sigma methodology kicks in, Six Sigma tools kicks in, entire measure, analyze, and some part of improve. That's where things are a little serious. So define phase remains light. And this toll gate review happens after each phase. So there are 5 toll gate reviews. Who review my project? Project are reviews by the sponsor of your project. Sponsor which is also called as champion at times. Sometimes it's an interchangeable word. Someone who is a functional head who sponsor your project in terms of the budgets, resources, time, and any challenges that you might face. This person approves, gives you a go ahead. Yes, you should do this project that can help our business. It can be business head. It can be an organizational, any senior stakeholder who supports you for this project. They are the sponsor. And if you are a credible black belt or a master black belt, that person sits in the review, and you are the one who is a project leader who is working on this project. You are being reviewed. So a black belt reviews or a master black belt reviews a project from Six Sigma point of view, whether you are following the right methodology, are you using the right tool, are you using it in the right way, are you collecting the right data, do you have any problem, they'll try to resolve. Do you need any support from me, any challenges do you see? This is what a master black belt does when they review your project. And when a sponsor or a champion, they review your project, they look at it from business point of view, whether are you on track, are we solving the right problems still, do you see any challenges, do you seek any support from me or anyone else in the organization, do you have the right resources, do you have enough time to work on this project, do you need any financial support to do this project, do you need any system do you have any system requirements? So all this support will be given by the sponsor, and that's how they will review your project. This is what we do in those 5 phases here. So a Six Sigma project, when it is typically done, how we do a Six Sigma project, it is little different than the kind of projects we do in the organization, or I would say a problem solving project. Let me put it that way. We always have a practical problem. The practical problem can be that it takes longer period. Let's take a simple example, hiring an employee. It takes a lot of time. It takes around 60 days to hire an employee at a manager level in this organization. This is a pain area, it's a problem. So this is a practical problem. Practical problem is it takes a lot of time to hire an employee. And because we take a lot of time, things are getting delayed. We are not able to meet our targets. We are a sales organizations. If we do not have the sales people on board, how are we going to get revenues? How are we going to meet targets? Time is tough. We need people fast. That's what every hiring manager wants. So you as a black belt, what you do, you go back to your process, you collect data, you try to understand what exactly is the meaning of lot of time of hiring process. What does it mean? So you collect data and you come back, it says around 60 days it takes to hire someone. And that is called a statistical problem. 60 days to hire someone is a statistical problem. And then you use your Six Sigma methodology over a course of 5 months, you reduce 60 days to 35 days. Now it takes 35 days to hire a person because you put some great solutions in perspective. So statistical solution is from 60 days, we have reduced to 35 days. And then practical solution will be, now it takes less time to hire an employee. So that's a typical life cycle of a process, which means problem solving methodology, which we're looking at Six Sigma methodology or the DMAIC methodology here, it is a data driven methodology. And we will be looking at only and only data. Some of the methodology that it encompasses of, we don't have to really spend this time here, re-engineering, problem solving teams. So this is an important slide. However, we'll not spend time on this one. We'll come back to this slide later on when we will have some understanding of this. What is this curve? What is this graph? What are these numbers? What it is written here, standard deviation, so on. So we'll come back to this slide later on, not now, so that you understand it completely. All slides I'll skip, as I said, as I do not find them relevant. One thing that we all should understand, because that will be basis of the entire problem solving approach, is called the y equal to fx, where y is the process metric that we're going to improve. For example, if I go back to the example of hiring an employee, and I say that it takes a lot of time to hire an employee. So I want to reduce the hiring cycle time. So hiring cycle time is the y here, which I want to reduce. Now this y is the function of x. How do I read it? Y is the function of x. So hiring cycle time basically is a function of multiple factors that get into hiring someone. You have a hiring manager, you have a job description, you have a resume of the candidate, you have candidate's experience, candidate's documents, you have interviewer's feedback, time availability of interviewer, candidate, and these are different factors that will get you a candidate on board, and that will take some time. So if you put all these factors into a hiring process, you get a hiring cycle time. So hiring cycle time is what we're improving. And then we have a process called hiring process. Hiring process requires a lot of inputs. So y is a function of x. That means hiring cycle time is a function, is equal to a function of hiring process, which has a lot of inputs that get into this process. That's an example here. What this methodology talks about, that when you start your process improvement project, any project that you start, initially everything in the process would look like a suspect, that everything can be a reason for the problem in a process that you are facing. Anything can be a reason, and you do not know which one because you have just started the project. So it is called a funnel approach, because in the beginning you have a lot of factors impacting your process, and you do not know which one is really impacting your process. So the DMAIC methodology that we follow, it works as a filter, it works as a funnel, and at the end of the methodology, like at the end of the improve phase or analyze phase, you would get those 2-3 factors, 2-3 issues that are really impacting your process. So it's called as separate the vital few. These are the vital few from the trivial many. See, when you start a project, everything looks like is impacting my process, and you try to validate, as in when you go into the process, you're validating, okay, what is causing my problem? What is causing a problem? You keep on doing this till the end of your project, and only then at the end you find there are 3-4 real causes which are actually causing a lot of issues to the process. And this is a methodology that we would be using in our the DMAIC actually helps in that. This is a typical career path for Six Sigma professionals. Sometimes people start with yellow belt, and sometimes they start with green belt directly. If you have good amount of industry experience, or you have good amount of working on process improvement projects, but if you are not certified, you can also start at a black belt level, but that is not a recommended method. But people can do that as well, depends on different organizations. And then at the end, you have a master black belt. A yellow belt is a very basic training, is a very overview of the Six Sigma methodology. A yellow belt do not lead projects because they do not have sufficient information and the knowledge of Six Sigma methodology. So they can only be a part-time member in a project, and they can help you with some of those brainstorming sessions. Maybe they can help you gather the data, and they can solve small issues in the process, very small issues. Green belt is also not a full-time role. Green belt is a part-time role. So you can be a project leader and you are a green belt. You can pick up some issues which are limited to your own function or department. They may have a dependency or another department, that it's okay. But if the project is very complex, it is an organization-wide problem, you cannot really work on it because you do not have the sufficient knowledge and ability or capability to work on these processes. So green belt usually is a team member of a larger project, or they lead a project which is very limited in scope, or in their own department of functions. While the black belt is a full-time role in the organizations, and this black belt role can have multiple names: operational excellence manager, process excellence manager, different roles it can be, business excellence manager, different roles it can be, or it can be a simple, plain black belt. So black belt is also a role in the organization. What black belts do? Black belts train green belts and yellow belts. They mentor the green belts and yellow belts for their projects. Black belt also work as a change agent in the organization. They do a lot of training in the organizations. They try to influence in such a way that they drive the process improvement culture in the organizations. They inculcate this culture of problem solving. They encourage people to use Six Sigma methodologies in the day-to-day process. So they are the change agents. Master black belts, they govern and monitor the Six Sigma deployment in the organizations, and they mentor and train black belts who in turn train others. That is a typical career path for Six Sigma professionals. Currently, we are doing the black belt training. And on top of it, MVP, we have executive leadership and champions and process owner. So over MVP, you will see there is a champion. Now, a champion is not a Six Sigma professional. A champion is someone who is a senior stakeholder in the organization who believes in Six Sigma methodology, who will get you the top management approval to drive Six Sigma in the organization, who will remove all the obstacles that can be there when you're deploying Six Sigma, or cultural issues, people issues, financial issues it might come in. So any kind of support you need, the champion will help you. Champion also sponsor all the activities in the organizations. That's what champions do. In executive leadership, they treat Six Sigma as a philosophy, and they go and promote it outside world and inside world also. They talk about Six Sigma to everyone. And without the help or commitment of executive leadership, you cannot deploy Six Sigma in an organization. It's a plain fact. Six Sigma is a change management methodology at the end of the day. And no change in the organization can be driven from bottom to top, general. A change always has to be bought in. Change always has to be driven and committed by the top management. Because if a top management does not really believe in a certain methodology, in a certain tool, you will not have that support available to drive it in the organization. You can try it at your end in different departments. You can drive it in different parts, but it will never be an organization-wide philosophy because management does not give you that support that you need. You might need financial assistance. You might need resources. You need to hire more people. You need to drive and influence other people. Operations will always say, I have this priority. Operation is a priority. My priority is not to train people and work and give them time to do projects. So until top management commits to it, you really cannot influence people culturally and people-wise. That's why executive leadership involvement in driving Six Sigma is the most important part. Okay, moving from here. Any question so far from anyone? Okay. Some of the things that we should be aware before we even begin our training program. Some people might think it's for manufacturing, which is not. It does not, you need to be a statistical genius. No, you don't have to be. You just need to know elementary mathematics. 2 + 2 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's all you need to do, because that's what we look at. We'll not look into statistics. So idea is to ensure that you are able to learn problem solving, not statistics. That's not our objective. Idea is not to make you a statistician. That's not the objective. It cannot be done part-time. It says it's a misconception that people can do it part-time. No, you cannot. You need to have 100% dedication towards it. And it needs only a clear understanding of statistical package. No, you don't have to. Some of these things, challenges, misconceptions, stakeholder support. Six Sigma are top-down initiative. It needs to be driven by the top leadership. Employees in a company can talk about Six Sigma deployment only when the top leadership supports it. Without them, it does not make sense. Okay. So the roadmap that we are going to use in our training, it looks like this. It might look too much to you, but no, we'll make it easy. We'll make it simple. We'll be using all the activities that you see here and all the tools which is written below. You'll be using, in fact, you'll be using little more than what it is written here in these 24 hours, in these 8 sessions of 3 hours. How we are going to divide this entire training? We'll have a break in this 3 hours. We'll not do a 3 hours at a stretch. Of course, we will not. We'll take 12 to 15 minutes break after 90 minutes session. Every day we begin. So we begin at 8 p.m. India Standard Time, which is time at my place, 8 p.m. And then we'll go for 90 minutes at a stretch. And at 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, which is 90 minutes when we start the training, we'll take a break of 10 to 15 minutes max. And then we'll be back and we'll do our second session. At the end of this training program, I will take you through a completed project so that you can understand the entire training and you can bind all the different dots together. Also, in the last session, I'll be taking you through a completed test, a full test, and we'll be solving that test paper together so that we all understand different concepts. That because when you solve the question paper, then only you understand a certain concept. So we'll be doing that in the last session. And in every day, I'll be talking about some of these concepts from an actual project point of view. I'll be showing an actual project as and when required to showcase some of the concepts that we would have just discussed and talked. So before we go on a break, any question that anyone may have, or a question that you may have right now?
Sir, do we have to submit a project for this course?
I don't think so. You just have to take the assessments.
Okay.
And I hope that you guys would have shared your mobile number and someone who can just create a WhatsApp group, any one of you, and just start adding the people in that group. That would be really helpful, so that if I am getting late, if you are getting late, you can communicate this using the WhatsApp group. That's for everyone's benefit. Okay, and my name is Shiven. My short name is Shiven. You can call me Shiven. You don't have to call me sir or anything else. So that would be really great. So any other question from anyone? And if you think that I'm going fast, for example, stop me, ask your question as many times as you want to. If there's a concept you did not understand, I'll explain it again. And every day we begin this session, we'll do a recap first of what we have done. That's how we are going to structure this entire training. So before we go on a break, I'll say again, if there are no questions from anyone, then we'll take a short break here, and then we'll be back in exact 12 to 13 minutes.
Shiven, can you ask somebody from IMC to make the WhatsApp group? They may be having everybody's numbers in the group.
This is not something that IMC, they do it because this is not an official thing actually.
Okay.
This is something, this is a trainer and the participants arrangement, we do it. And as I said, and it is not mandatory for anyone to join the WhatsApp group. It just, for the ease of communication only. So let's take a break and be back soon, and then we'll begin the Six Sigma training program. It was just the overview introduction that we have done so far. So see you in another 12-13 minutes, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Is everyone back?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Okay,
Yeah, clear.
perfect. Perfect. So let's continue. Do we have everyone? If you can just type yes in the chat window. Okay, perfect. So let's begin. So we were talking about before we went for the break, we talked about a couple of concepts and introduction of the Six Sigma evolution, some of the key companies which have used Six Sigma in the process, and what Six Sigma aims to. It aims towards reducing the variation in a process and also reduce the defect. So we talked about two methodologies here. One is the lean methodology and another one is the Six Sigma methodology, which is the DMAIC framework we are talking here. So lean as a method focuses on reducing the waste in a process. That's what lean does. While Six Sigma as a methodology focuses on reducing the variation or waste or defects in the process. So lean and Six Sigma is what we are going to study. So our training program, which is a black belt training program, is based on lean Six Sigma training program, where we'll be studying lean tools and we'll also be looking at some Six Sigma tools. And we'll look at both of them together at times wherever it is needed. So when you improve a process, you use lean tools as well. You need Six Sigma tools as well, wherever they are required. Sure. I think that should be visible now. Okay, so some of these, this is so the activities and tools you perform. So on the WhatsApp group, I'll share a roadmap. The roadmap talks about what are the key activities you need to perform, what are the key tools and deliverables of each phase that you should have at the end of the phase. But then just like a briefcase material with you, I'll give you a list with everything, but when to use which tool, that will come with the experience when you start working on the project. So that will take some time. So let's begin. The defined phase of Six Sigma, as I said, it focuses on finding the right customers for a problem and finding the expectation, understanding the expectation and requirements from the customer. Now, what happens in most of the projects that we believe that there is a problem that is very close to our heart. We believe this is a problem which is impacting my customer and everyone is talking about it. So I think I should work on this particular problem and solve it. But most of the problems in the organizations, that's how people pick up them as a Six Sigma project, a green belt project, black belt project. That's how they pick them up. And eventually, either they fail or they do not deliver the success which they're looking at. Why? Because Six Sigma is a customer-centric methodology. You're reducing defects from customer's point of view. You're reducing variation from customer's point of view. So we need to look at a problem for the customer's point of view, not what the organization thinks about how important it is. So any problem that you pick up, you need to first believe, understand, and ensure that it speaks to what customer wants you to work at. It should directly speak to the customer. It should directly result into a customer expectation. So that means the problem we are talking here, it needs to have an end customer. Now that customer can be within the organization or can be outside the organization. Whichever customer you're talking about, the problem has to come from them. They should tell you which problem you should work. And when you find the customer's expectations and requirements, we call it VOC, voice of customers. The customers give you their requirements and expectation in various forms. You can use a lot of methods, like you can use an email to understand what's happening. Let's say feedback or surveys, questionnaire, focus group discussion. You can put together people in a room and ask, okay, let's try to brainstorm and find some potential issues in the process. Various ways. And then data-driven methods of understanding customer requirement can be, you can do a survey. You can also look at some metrics like escalations or rejections, customer complaints. These are all KPIs which are helping you to understand how is customer reacting to your process. If these days a lot of four-wheelers, they get recalled every now and then these days. Hyundai recalled some products, some cars recently. So recall of a product is an indication that something is wrong with the product. So that also helps you to understand customers' requirement. But the problem with the customer's requirement most of the time is that they are not clear, because they don't know what do they want. They can tell you their statement, their requirement sometime in a very vague manner. And sometimes they are very clear, but a lot of time customers' requirements are not very clear. For example, as part of a project which I did in EI DuPont, the idea was to build a chair that should reduce the on-the-job injuries. Now, because of not having a good chair, it can impact your spine, your neck, your shoulder, your hand. All these things can happen, and your body may become numb, and a lot of people were given leaves so that they can go back and they become healthy and again come to work. So the problem was that the chair which a particular office had, a particular section of or a function, I will say, these were not good chairs, some regular chairs they were using. Idea was to replace them with ergonomic chair. So if you are a chair manufacturer and if you want to build a chair that should be comfortable, that should lead to less injuries, and the customer requirement is that I want to have a chair which is very comfortable, very relaxing, and it should support my body. This is a requirement. It's a VOC, it's a voice of customer. So if I ask you, how will you measure this requirement? How can you measure this requirement? What will you do to measure this requirement? How are you going to measure this requirement? Any answer from anyone? How will you measure a comfortable and a relaxing chair?
By survey.
What will survey give you about the chair? I mean, question is, what you're saying is right, we can do a survey. But what kind of input you'll receive from the survey about a comfortable chair?
Yeah, it will depend on the customer requirements, because at the end, the customer, they want this type of chairs. So I need to listen to the customers and understand what are the requirements.
Okay, so you will ask more questions to the customer so that they can become more specific, right? But what if
it can go for the survey, it can be with the focus group, it can be with like many ways of understand the customer requirements.
So can you tell me what will be the end result of collecting that, doing all of that, the survey, focus group, whatever you mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
What will be the measurement of a comfortable chair? How will you measure the comfort of a chair?
It
You've
depends
collected
on
requirements.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but it depends. Like if the customer, they need wheelchair, so I need to design a wheelchair which suit the customer or make the customer happy.
So how will you make it happy? The question is, how will you measure the comfort or the happiness?
Okay, before launch the product, also I need to ask the customer, this is what you are looking for.
Sorry, I missed it.
Okay, before launch the product, also I need to ask the customers, okay, this is what you are looking for.
Yeah, that's all. We do it sometime when we are launching a new product. We do a new product survey, and we ask the customers what kind of features they would like to see in a new product. Sometimes a lot of companies do that. So what I'm trying to say, what you're saying is correct. That is to collect the requirement from the customer. We are collecting requirements. Question is, how are they going to measure that requirement? Because customer will not know exactly. For example, okay, now if I put into the perspective, if I see the answer here is the dimensions of a chair. The dimensions of a chair will help you to design the kind of chair the customer wants. Now, customer will not tell you, I want a chair which should be 2 feet wide or 3.5 feet in height. Customer will not be able to tell you. They will not be able to tell you what kind of foam you should use. And when somebody whose weight is 100 kilogram and they sit on it, the foam should go to a certain limit. Customer will not be able to tell you that they need a chair with hand support, and this hand support should also be flexible, that it can go up and down or right and left, or reclining. What should be the reclining angle of the chair? These are the measurements of comfort of a chair. So you need to convert customers' requirement into measurable requirement. And until you can't measure it in numbers, the comfort has to be measured in numbers, because now you will know if a chair is 2 feet wide, 3 feet in height, which has wheels, as you said, the wheels are rotatable, and it has hand support which can go up and down, and the reclining angle of the chair is around, let's say, 30 degree or 70 degree. And there is a head support also, which can also be bent up and down. That will guarantee a certain level of comfort, because that's how the industry works at. So that is how we measure the customer's requirement into measurable requirements. That is very, very critical to the process. For example, I talk about a process like, it takes a lot of time to hire an employee. It takes a lot of time to hire an employee. Someone is saying that, so what is the meaning of lot of time? I want to reduce, your vice president will come to you and then say, you know what, we can't afford this kind of recruitment process. We can't be hiring people so late. The delay in recruitment process is costing company a lot of money. You need to hire them as fast as possible. So that's what he says and simply goes off. And here in this case, you cannot go back to the vice president, maybe ask, okay, so what according to is the time you're expecting? Maybe you would like to look at, okay, what is the industry benchmark for a good hiring time for a certain role? Here we are talking about reducing the hiring cycle times. Hiring cycle time is a measured input, what my vice president just told me. The idea is to measure the requirements that customer has just told us. And when we collect and when we convert these requirements, what customer has just told us, we called it CTQ, critical to quality. So VOC comes from customer, and that needs to be converted into measurable input. CTQ is nothing but measurable VOC. CTQ stands for critical to quality. What is the important factor to convert a customer requirement into measurable requirement? We need to understand who is the customer, who can help define the issues that customer is asking, who are the processes involved, who speaks for the customer, and what does he or she think is critical to quality. This at this level, when you're asking probing question, and if you cannot ask probing question, you can at least collect data to understand customer's requirement. That should be able to tell you what customer wants from this process. A lot of time, for example, if as a layman, if a car company is doing a survey that we are launching a hatchback car, and what would you like to see in a hatchback car? A lot of customers will tell you a lot of things. They want certain feature in a car, and most of them will talk about features of a car. But nobody will tell you the dimensions of a car also. How much leg space should be there? They will say it should have good leg space. It should, if I'm 6 feet 5 inch tall, the car should be tall enough to accommodate me. That's what they will write. That's it. They will not write that the height of the car should be 1200 millimeters. They will not give you these numbers. So this is measurable input that you have to collect it on your own so that you can understand customers' requirement. That's all I'm saying. The customer's requirement needs to be converted into a number, and that number you have to improve. That is what we are looking at. We're looking at a critical to quality parameter from the customers. If customer cannot give us, we will convert it so that we can improve that particular number from the requirement. For example, if you look at here, let's say you want to purchase some widgets. To purchase widgets, purchase good widgets. There are 3 things important for purchasing the widgets. Your vice president tells you that we want to purchase widgets, and as early as possible and in the least possible cost. That's all they say and go off. Now you want to improve this process of purchasing those widgets. What are the 3 things you can convert from purchasing widgets? Quality of the widgets, price of the widgets, and delivery of those widgets. While the quality, if I further convert into a number, which means 0 defect, this should not be a defect, whatever we are purchasing. Price should be less than 0.05 dollar, and delivery means 99% on time. So you see all these numbers, they are corresponding to customers' requirement. Now, if I have to improve this process of purchasing the widgets, I would be looking at these metrics. On time delivery, price should be less than $0.05 and quality 0 defects. I will be improving these metrics. I can't improve purchasing widgets as a process because I don't know what that means is. But I'll be improving these CTQs, which I received when I converted this requirement into measurable requirements. It needs to be measurable. And if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. But what happens is, when customer gives you requirement, they give you a lot of requirements at time. They give you a lot of requirements sometimes. So you do not know which requirements to work first. For example, if you're working in transitions, what happens in business process transitions that you bring a process from one place and you put it into another place. Now, let's say you are working in US and cost of doing that work in US is very high. So you want to shift that process to a country where the cost of doing the process is less. So you want to transfer that process from US to some other country where the cost of doing the process is less. So this is called transition. Now the people who are sitting in US, what they want is, once a process gets transitioned from US to that country, another country, it should have high quality. It should not, there should be no escalation. Customer satisfaction should be very high. Turnaround time should be very less. Cost should be less. Attrition should be less. Job satisfaction should be high. All these parameters they want in that new process. But now can you tell me, when you have just transitioned that process, do you think you can deliver all these metrics within 3 months of transitioning that process? Is that possible? Anyone?
Within 3 months, I don't think so, because sustenance is something, and also the stability.
Absolutely right. I think I lost you, but I think I heard sustenance and the stability, right?
Yes.
Absolutely
Because
right.
actually any process takes at least 3 months would be the sustenance, right? So I don't think we can achieve everything in that 3 months.
Correct. Absolutely right. So now you know that it will take at least 3 to 4 months to make that process stable. So, but you also know that, however, you cannot be providing the inputs, so you cannot be meeting all those requirements of all the KPIs. But in 3 months, you'll be meeting at least 1 or 2 requirements in those 3 months, right? If not all, whichever you can,
agreed.
1 or 2.
Agreed.
Right. So that means that you will be prioritizing the customer's requirement, because you will simply tell customer that when the process gets transitioned in first 6 months, we would be working on these KPIs, 3-4 KPIs. Then after a few months, we'll be working on these KPIs. And after a year, when the process is mature and well stabilized and established, then we will be looking at other KPIs like job satisfaction, attrition, because these are the KPIs, they do not matter now. They matter after a certain period of time. So that means we are going to prioritize customers' requirement, because you cannot meet all customers' requirement at one go. You need to prioritize them. So let's look at an example. How do we prioritize customers' requirement, and what is the meaning of customers' requirement in terms of priority? Second, I'm opening a sheet here. So we have year 2000, we have year 2010, and we have year 2020. You have must have, you have good to have, So imagine you wanted to purchase a mobile in year 2000. So can you all tell me what features you would have looked in year 2000 in a mobile that is must have, that, which means without that feature, the mobile phone cannot be called as a mobile phone. Everyone.
Call option.
Calling
option.
facility.
Calling, yes.
SMS.
SMS, yes. Very good. What else?
Should have mobility, can easily carry with you everywhere.
Should be wireless, of course. Very good. What else?
Saving name and number.
Phone directory, yeah?
Yep.
So let us imagine that these are the 4 features that are must have in a mobile phone. Now, what are features and good to have? Good to have features are you're not expecting it, but if it is there, it's like a good feel. Yeah, I have this feature in my phone, which is little extra that I can get in this call. What are those features that you think?
Radio.
Radio, camera. I don't know in 2000 camera is possible, but yeah, radio, then we have.
Through?
Color screen was a big thing that time.
Color background screen you meant?
Yeah.
It's not a color screen, it's a background is color. So it gives you as if it's a color phone.
Yeah.
Size of the handset, handy.
Size of handset. Okay, so let's say these were some good to have features. Now, Delighter is world class. Unimaginable. You cannot even believe that this can be in a mobile phone. If it is there, you'll be like, wow, it's a wow factor. So let's say camera is a wow factor in year 2000. What else can be a wow factor in year 2000?
Playing video.
Playing video.
Color screen.
Color screen is already there.
Yeah. Okay.
You mean to say color phone?
Color phone, yeah.
Probably internet browsing capability.
Internet is actually absolutely unimaginable in year 2000. But let me write it as you said it. So yes, correct. Internet.
It's the Bluetooth.
No, Bluetooth was not there in 2000.
Ringtones. If I can play or change the ringtones.
Ringtone you can write in good to have because it was there. It was not.
No, but it was built in. I cannot add tunes, as I remember in 2000.
Okay, you want to say you can write another ringtone, but you know what, Nokia 3310, you can actually write the code for the ringtone. So that was very much possible. Anyways.
Oh, okay. I was not aware about it.
We did it a lot in our college days when we used to write those codes and we used to get a new ringtone altogether. Okay, perfect. So this is about year 2000. You are going to purchase a mobile, and as a customer, what are you expecting from a mobile? Must have is call, SMS, wireless facility, and a phone directory. Must have. If you get additional feature, you're not expecting, you get it. Wow, it's like nice, good to have, which is a radio, torch, color background, screen, size of the handsets. Apart from this, there are features which is like wow, features if you have, you're like out of the world. Like I can't imagine I have these things. The phone is awesome, which is camera, mobile camera. You don't have to purchase a reel for it. Playing video on a phone, color phone, price means affordable price. I mean, internet browsing, which you are doing in a big computer, now you can do it in a small phone. So it's, of course, it's a great feature. And ringtones. Now, it is year 2010. What will be must-have feature in year 2010? So first of all from 2000. Whatever is there in 2000 in all the areas, it is in must-have in year 2010. That means you should have all of it. You should have internet browsing, color phone, playing video, camera. All these features were must-have in year 2010. What are other features in must-have in 2010?
The pixels of the camera. I mean, then we will go for the specification of those. Like for camera, we will see for the pixels, right? And for battery, we will see the how much mAh is there.
Year 2010, maybe battery mAh was not very popular one.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to say battery you want to keep and good to have.
In
Big screen.
2010 must have, I believe, MMS.
MS, yeah, correct. Video messages.
Must have.
So what are good to have features? Battery
High
life.
resolution camera should be something that's good to have.
High resolution camera. So let's say HD camera, for example. Games. But games is not good to have. Games was a must.
And Bluetooth is must.
How about
yes.
built-in memory?
Inbuilt memory. Yes. Very good. Okay, now let's move to delighters. Year 2010. Wi-Fi.
Dual SIM.
Dual SIM. Yes.
Dual SIM.
Yes. Wi-Fi, dual SIM. Expandable memory.
RAM.
Expandable memory was not delighters. It was available, right? You can always purchase and do that. It was good to have.
Right.
Dual SIM, Wi-Fi, what else? Year 2010. Touchscreen.
Right.
Delighter. It's like out of the world. Amazing feature. You could not even imagine that kind. What else?
Voice assistants.
Voice assistant. Yes, that is a real delighter in year 2010. Okay, let's stick to this list. Year 2020. In year 2020, everything is from 2010. All from 2010. It's a must have. What else is a must have in 2010? So 2020.
Front camera.
Sorry? Camera.
Yeah, front camera.
Front camera. Yeah, selfies are important, of course. Front camera.
Programs. I can download the programs.
Download apps. Download apps. Yes. What else? What else do you think?
No, খাওয়া গেছে বন্ধ করে
3G, I think.
3G is must, yes. 3G is must. 4G is good. And 5G is delighter. Okay. And what else? What else is must? This is must. How about good to have in today's world? Water resistance.
Yeah.
What else? What else is good to have in a mobile?
4G.
4G is good. Yes.
Wireless charging.
Wireless charging, yes.
Payment transfer apps. Easy payment transfer apps.
Apps is
Money transfer
downloadable apps isn't it download apps type, like different apps that can help you download.
GPay, yeah.
E-commerce, yeah.
GPay,
But that is must have, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Because in all the smartphone you can download it, right? You can download.
Right.
So first of all, it's a smartphone.
But earlier it was not there, no? But earlier it wasn't there.
So I would write it here in 2010, download apps. Okay, what else is? Yes, go ahead.
Security of the camera, security of the phone,
Info
password,
security.
fingerprint.
Privacy.
Password, finger and face detection.
Okay, right.
These are good to have. Now, what is delighter? Now, year 2020. Let's see how creative we can be in deciding what can be delighter feature for a smartphone.
Okay. Removing the touch.
Durability of the unit, like the screen will not be easily.
Smart home capability.
Sorry guys, there are a couple of ideas coming in, just one by one. A lady said something. What was that?
Smart home capability.
Okay,
5G.
5G. Yeah, I missed some of you. If you can just go one by one. What was that?
Foldable phone.
Foldable phone.
Foldable screen.
Foldable screen. Yes. Someone said something else also. I could not hear it. What was that?
Yeah, me. Okay. Let us maybe we're removing the touch. It will be a mind reader.
Mind
reading. It will read
reading.
what's in you. Yeah. So it will read what's in your mind, and the phone will function automatic or alone.
Perfect. Yes, it can happen. Yes. How about health detection? This health detection is
high storage.
Sorry, what?
High storage.
You have phones up to 512 megabyte. But yes, extremely high storage is always recommended. Let's say multiple SIMs, that be more than 2 SIMs. And scratch proof. What do you call?
Universal remote.
Universal. So you can download. Okay, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, correct. Very nice. Good. So
Nano SIM. Nano SIM.
Perfect. So good. We have a lot of good answers from the team. So guys, what I'm trying to say is, go back to the same example of transition. When you started the transition, the people sitting in US, they were expecting this. They're expecting all this. But your ability to deliver was not this. Your ability to deliver was this particular section. But they wanted this. And you know that you cannot provide all of it. So you agreed on something that we would start with this. Slowly and gradually we'll move to this. And after a year, we will be doing all these three. And after this phase, when we are established, mature process, then we will start process improvement. That will start after 1 year. First year is only for stabilizing the process. After process stable, then we will start using the DMAIC. And when you use DMAIC, then we will start from here and then we'll move forward. So to reach this stage from here, it took 20 years for that mobile. So for you as a process to become a world-class process where continuous improvements are happening, multiple projects are being worked on, it will take many months. I will not say years. It might take many months. So when you start a project, customers come up with a lot of requirements. These customers are not external customers all the time. It can be your people from the organizations, your top management, the senior leadership. They can tell you this is what we want, but you tell them this is what we can deliver in first 6 months. Then after 6 months, then we move to another set of KPIs. We will deliver those KPIs then. So you need to prioritize customer requirement, and every requirement has to be measured. So this method that you saw, it's called Kano diagram, Kano analysis, Kano model. It divides the customer's requirement into 3 parameters: must have, good to have, and delighters. And then we pick up the prioritized customer requirement from each of those category, and then we start working. So we first work on the must have one, then good to have, then delighters. What may also happen over a period of time, the customers, if you do not pick them up right, the requirement that were good to have 6 months back, they become must have after 6 months. And delighters that were delighter 1 year back, they became must have after a year. So customer requirement get into an evolution period over a period of time. So that was about finding those requirements. So, but now you know customers, you know what customers are asking you to do. You also know what metrics I need to work, because you just converted requirements into measurable inputs. You prioritize those requirements using a Kano model now. But now the question is, which of those issues I should function now? Whatever you have prioritized now, which one should you work now? So that means, how do I select the project for my Six Sigma methodology? How do I find a project for process improvement? So there are 3 methods to do that, to find projects in the organizations. The first approach is called as the blatantly obvious. It is the same thing that we saw earlier, which was called as low-hanging fruit. Now, blatantly obvious means that some problem that can be seen directly. If every day you see there are a lot of escalations are coming in, or you see there are a lot of customer complaints coming in, or you see the process is very manual, you see it happening, you see people spending a lot of time in the office, you see a lot of overtime people are doing it, you see a lot of people leaving the organization, you see people coming late to the work. All these are indications that will tell you that something needs to be done. These are obvious issues in the organization. We should always pick up these issues which are blatantly obvious. Now, one thing that you should remember, which of course I'll be talking during this entire training, that in the Six Sigma methodology, we looked at this roadmap. We looked at a lot of activities and tools that I just talked about, all of them. This thing you have to remember, and this thing you will be practicing it throughout your life since now, starting today as you'll be using Six Sigma. We will not be using the DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control in all the problems that we are going to solve. This framework of define, measure, analyze, improve, control with all these activities and tools, we'll be using only 5 to 10% time. That's it. So what will we do 90% of time? How will we solve the problem in 90% of time? In these 5 phases, there are a lot of activities and a lot of tools that you will study. Each of the tool itself is capable enough to solve a problem, if the problem meets the criteria of using that tool. Each of these tools is capable enough. So imagine if you have to use all these tools together and all the activities in this framework, the problem has to be really, really complex and very big. Most of the issues in the organization, they are solved by some of those tools which can be used as a standalone tools or the combination of those tools. So you do not need to use DMAIC project to solve all the problems in the organizations. Because as I said, the DMAIC, if you want to do a full-fledged DMAIC project, it might take you 2 to 5 months. Your company will not have 5 months all the time. They will not give you 5 months. If a problem has to be solved in 2 months or in 1 month, then you cannot use this entire framework in its true essence. So we need to know what is the right approach of solving the problem, how to find the project, which tool to use, what activities to do. We'll be talking about that throughout the project, but you need to put this into mind that DMAIC projects is not for all types of problem. Most of the problem can be just solved by doing a simple brainstorming, put the team into a room, ask them to discuss and find potential problem about a process, and then building a solution for them. That's it. That's all we need to do for most of the problem. And these problems are typically blatantly obvious, which can be seen from our naked eyes. These types of problem will not need a DMAIC most of the time, but sometimes the problem is obvious, but the solution and root cause is not obvious. So then we may all have to do a DMAIC, but that depends. Similarly, apart from, blatantly obvious is one way of finding the projects. Another approach is brainstorming approach. Brainstorming approach is when you put a team together into a room, you ask them to think through the potential problems in a process, and you use the brainstorming approach to build a pipeline of projects for a year or maybe next year also. The team comes up with 30-40 ideas, 30-40 potential problem in a process. Each of the problem can be a project in itself, but you cannot work on 40 problems at a time. So you will prioritize them. You will prioritize 5 issues, which you will work as a Six Sigma project. Rest of the problem you will put into a pipeline for this year. Once these 5 projects are done, then you will work on next 5 projects. So this is called building a pipeline using a brainstorming approach. Another approach is called the structured approach. In this approach, you observe a problem for a period of time. You collect data over a period of time. Then you try to understand what exactly is happening in the process. A common way of structured approach is Kpi approach. Key performance indicators or KPIs is a very simple approach to work as a structured approach. What do we do in KPIs? keep every week, every month, every year, we calculate a KPI and put it into a dashboard. It can be a simple KPI, let's say cost. How much money we are spending on training each month, for example. So if you take this data of last 3 years, in 3 years you will have 36 months. So you will have 36 data points. You can see the line of training going up and down. Some month cost is high, some month cost is less. And you would also look at the training effectiveness score of last 3 years. Some month training effectiveness is going up, some month it is going down. And you would like to understand how can I improve the training effectiveness for these training which are being conducted over a period of time. So this is called a structured approach, where you collect the data, analyze the data, use a KPI for it, and then you want to improve that KPI. You want to improve the training effectiveness here. You have an inbuilt and everything is given to you in front of you. You just have to monitor it for over a period of time to find what is the problem. It's like diagnosing a problem. Let's say if someone has high temperature and you want to ascertain do you have a disease or not. So the doctor will keep you in the observation. They will keep in observation for 2-3 days maybe, and they will do a lot of tests. And after the test, they will tell you if you have a certain problem or not, or what is the treatment that is to be done after 3 days. So that is the structured approach which is followed for a problem solving, observing the process for a certain time, collecting the data, and basis that you decide what is the roadmap to solve that problem. All three approaches exist simultaneously. And you will have option to choose any of this approach to work on any problem. But it will depend on the type of problem or how complex the problem is. What should be the roadmap to solve that problem? Should you do a brainstorming, involve everyone in the room for 2 to 3 days, do a workshop and come up with the solutions? Or we should spend 2 to 4 months as a DMAIC project? What has more benefits? This trade-off will always continue. But again, this comes with the practice. When you go into an organization, when you are in the real world, then there are different factors also which preside over which problems to be chosen first. So when we have worked on all these, some of the slides I will skip here. So when we have prioritized those problems, when we have selected the right project that we want to work upon, we want to put these information into a document called as project charter. And the project charter is a fundamental document about the project that helps you to review the project, tells you status of the project. It can help you to track certain deliverables also about the project. Now, people who have done a green belt training program, or some of you who would have used a project charter now, what do you think a project charter does?
It gives a complete visibility of a project, what would be the goal, and who are the sponsors of the project, and what would be the end result, a tentative end result if we are not sure of what is going to be the result.
Okay.
And also the milestones.
Sorry, you said result. What result are you talking about?
Benefit quantification. Every project sometimes it all depends on what would be the benefit at the end of the project.
The goal statement she's talking actually.
Okay, goal statement. Okay.
I think we should not have a solution in
for your whole study.
Sorry. What did you say? I missed it. What are you saying?
The project charter will be a protocol for the complete study.
Protocol for the complete study. It is going to be the fundamental key document. Okay, perfect. Yes, all the answers are right. Very good. You all are aware. So I'll just add on to what you just mentioned, all of you. So all the answers are correct. You all understand the charter in the true essence, but a project charter should have at least 6 key elements. There can be more, obviously, but there should be at least 6 elements in a project charter that you are preparing about the problem you are going to improve. It should have a problem statement to start with. Problem statement talks about the problem, the expectation which we gathered from the customer, the problem which customer is facing. We are going to improve that particular process and reduce those problems. So what a problem statement will consist of. Problem statement is a very important part about a project and the project charter. Because if you're, guys, if you can go on mute if you're not speaking. Because the problem statement is the most important part of our project charter, because if that is not done right, the entire project will fail. And a good problem statement would mean that you are able to measure a process pretty well. For example, this is a problem statement, which is bad problem statement. Hiring cycle time to hire a manager in ABC company is very high. And due to this, targets are not met. As recruiters are not experienced, it is taking a lot of time. So question to all of you, what do you think is the problem in this problem statement? Why am I calling it a bad problem statement? Why it is a bad problem statement?
Because the level of I mean the the problem in this problem statement, the problem is not quantified. To be very precise, I mean it's not quantified by.
Very good. You said it absolutely well. The problem is not quantified. Yes. So what do you mean by quantification here?
Like how many days it takes to hire a manager, right? What is how many days we are delaying, in how many days it getting delayed, right? The first, so it should be some numbers there, and how that is impacting. There should be some cost involved in. I mean, what is the cost we are losing in this case?
Correct. Very good. Very good. So whatever you mentioned is absolutely correct. So as you mentioned that it is not quantified, and quantification means is the pain. It's a pain. Basically, hiring cycle time is very high. It's a pain for the customer. So we need to measure that pain here. So we need to first measure for how long this problem persists. For example, when you go to a doctor for your problem, doctor will always ask you, since when this problem you're facing? Since the first question is, so you always say it's been 2 days, 3 days. So the first thing about any problem in the world, any problem, be it your problem with your medical issues, be it the operational issues, for how long, since when the problem starts surfacing. So since when, that is first thing. Now you talk about a symptom of the problem. We don't know the problem, but you only talk about a symptom. A symptom of the problem is that we were hiring we were hiring some employees, these 30 associates we hired, and we took around 50 business days to hire those 30 associates. Now I'm saying, now we know it is on the higher side because industry average is around 30 business days. For a similar profile and similar industry, it will take 30 days to hire someone. We are taking around 50 days. So we know it on the higher side. Okay. So now, if we are not able to meet, if you're not able to reduce the 50 cycle business days in 30 days, sales target was missed also last quarter because of high cycle time, because we did not have enough people on board to complete the sales. That was one problem. So, and we are sure that if we are not able to hire them on time, then we can miss the target in next quarter as well. This is a good problem statement because it is quantified. So the same thing goes in the problem statement. It has to be quantified well. But a couple of things that you should be very careful when writing a problem statement. First of all, it should not use the word like due to and because of. Because if you're writing the word due to and because of, these words focus or point towards a root cause. If you know the root cause, it's a blatantly obvious problem. You do not need to do all these things, just go and solve the problem. And if you use a word like standardization, automation, documentation, that means you are talking about a solution. And if you know the solution, simply implement it. You don't need all these activities that we're doing now. Because we do not know anything about root cause. Because we do not know anything about solution. That's why we're using the DMAIC process. Had we known the root cause, had we had some idea about the solution, we could have termed it, we could have treated this problem as a blatantly obvious problem and could have solved the problem. We wouldn't have gone through this DMAIC path. And problem statement should never look like as if you are blaming someone, you're complaining. Because the hiring managers do not give feedback on time, so process is delayed. Because interviewers are never available on time, so we're not able to complete the hiring on time. You cannot write all these things into a schema. You cannot name anyone because John from finance team is never available. He's always traveling, and he's the key interviewer. And this is a problem actually, right? So we are not able to close the hiring on time. But that's not how problem statements are formed. You cannot complain and blame someone. And similarly, okay, yeah, these are the things that you should not do that in a problem statement. So the next question that comes in, yes, there is a problem. Yes, problem statement says there is a problem. So the question is, so what? So what, there is a problem? Why should you really worry about it? Should we really work on this problem? Is this an urgent problem? Until and unless you treat this as an urgent problem, it is not a problem to be solved. So business case in a charter talks about urgency of a problem. If you do not solve this problem now, the company will shut down. Like the urgency is like this, we are at fire. Like you saw in this problem statement, it says we will not be able to meet the sales target. And then you can, in the business case, you can write more efficiently also. If you don't meet sales target, then it might result in bad revenues and overall we might have to fire some people and blah, blah, blah. You can write business case is all about creating urgencies of the problem, not fake urgencies, obviously. But the thing is that the problem should actually tell you that if you do not solve this problem today, it can lead to disaster tomorrow. This has to be reflected in a business case. Why should the top management or your sponsors should give you support to do this particular project? Why? That why is answered in the business case. Now you have a problem statement, you have a business case, then you write the goal statement. And we all know goal statement has to be measurable. Hiring cycle time I want to reduce. So you cannot write reduce the hiring cycle time. That cannot be the goal. It has to be measurable. So you have to write reduce the hiring cycle time from 50 business days to 30 business days. But only this is not enough because you can't take 15 years to reduce 50 days to 30 days. You need to set up a timeline. In next 6 months or by quarter 3, 2020, quarter 4, 2020, the hiring cycle time should reduce from 50 to 30 business days. That is how we write the goal statement. Okay. And I think, as I said, defined phase is more about project management. So these points we'll be covering as part of defined phase. These things would, some of you are, and I'm sure all of you may be aware of what we are going through now. Scope is very important as part of the charter. Now, scope talks about two things here, the in scope and out of scope. If you see in this format, it says in scope and out of scope in a particular problem. Now, it might so easy that in scope and out scope is pretty easy, but I'll give you an example. Long back, a friend of mine was doing a consulting assignment with a four-wheeler manufacturing company in India. How the assignment was that he had to work on the alignment of the front seats of one of the models of a car at a plant in India. The front seats were not aligned well, and that was a problem. And this was a problem identified at a quality level. I mean, it was not identified by the customer. It was identified by us at a level. Because cars are assembled, no? So at one of the steps it was identified, this problem is coming in frequently and they were not able to solve it. Why it's happening? What exactly is the cause? So they called him as a consultant and he started working on it. After 3 months, when he was giving the presentation to the managing director, he said that, what about the back seats? Then he said, only the front seats were in scope and that was discussed. So I worked on it. But he said the back seats are also in the same car. You cannot ignore them, right? So why did you work only on the front seats? So he looked at the scope as what was told to him. Now the key lesson here is when you start working on a project and you think the scope is something, this is the scope which I will be looking at to improve this. This is the boundary of this process. Anything else apart from this boundary is not part of the process improvement activity. But those parts, those areas which you have left out, they are dependent on the process that you are just picking up. So there can be some risk and dependencies of whatever is in scope. So in scope is very, very critical. So you write exactly what is in scope, but more than that, you write what is out of scope. So you have to categorically write these geography, these people, these departments, this function, this product, this service at this location, at this level is out of scope. That is how out of scope is written, because if out of scope is not clearly written and defined, when you are going for a project review, the customer may not agree that this is what they said. They assumed that you would also work on this part. They assume. So don't leave anything for assumption. Write it categorically for the out of scope. And then we have milestone, which talks about the key activities of the process. They need to have a timeline, and then the project team, and their names and the roles. Some more elements you can add in a charter depending on the project type. Like someone said, we can have the benefits from the project. You can also write the key metrics that you would like to improve apart from the goal statement. You can also write about how this will help the organization. You can also write about what are the future steps after this project, what are the future goals. Now, if you treat the project charter as a Kano model, what is must have in a project charter? These 6 things. What is good to have? KPIs maybe. Project benefits can be good to have. What can be delighters? Next steps, future action, future process state. That is delighters. Your stakeholder wants to see certain things in your project. These are the things that you should be giving to them. If you can give them KPIs or any other benefits, but that is not mandatory, but you should have these things. How your project will help the organization after 5 years, that is delighter. Nobody knows. You want to keep that? That depends. So we are not going to write it here. But that is how, this is also an example of Kano analysis that you can write in here. This is just, I'm building an analogy here, how you can prioritize requirements here. Okay. So this is about the project charter that needs to be built. And in the subsequent slides, we have just detailed out everything that we're talking. Project team. Okay. Some key concept of a project team is that it begins with a black belt who will lead the team. Now, black belt can do 2 jobs in a project. You can either mentor a project if you are not leading it, or you can lead the project. So it depends, whichever role you are. You will mentor projects only when you have worked on certain projects for a good amount of time. And just to tell you one thing, you might complete your black belt certification on paper after 24 hours of training. Honestly speaking, it should take at least 7,000 to 8,000 hours to be a credible black belt, which means at least 4 to 5 years when you can become a credible or reliable black belt who understands Six Sigma and lean methodologies, who can look at a problem and can understand what is the roadmap, how to really work on that particular problem. So Six Sigma is a skill. It is not it is not a degree or a diploma or education that will remain with you after 5 years. No, if you do not use this methodology, even for 6 months, you will forget most of it. So it's a skill that gets transferred from me to you, from you to someone else, and so on. I got it from someone. So it's a skill. We are talking about, we are into an upskilling program. So it will not stay with you. So the more you will use this skill in your organization, more and more you will train people, work on projects, train more people. It will become strengthened. That is how the idea of Six Sigma tools is all about. So initially, you will not be mentoring people. You should be upskilling yourself. You need to lead as many projects as you can. So you as a black belt will be leading a team or working on a project. 1 second, low battery. Okay. Okay, you should have leadership from 2 people, the champion and a tactical team leader. Of course, I mean, I would say a sponsor or a master black belt. Team should be cross-functional and they should know Six Sigma to some extent. That means you can train the team as a black belt, you can train the team and then you can put them into this project. Some of the things about project team is that you need to be a functional full-time black belt working on this project, 4 to 5, 6 members max. And they should involve green belt. This is green belt actually. The font color is different. Green belt. 25 to 30% time they should dedicate to a project. So what do we do after charter is the project team that we have just built, we have to assign the role and responsibility of each team member so that they are all aware what will they do at what stage. So we'll use a method called as RACI diagram, which is a typical project management tool to assign the role and responsibility of each team member in a project. So has any of you used the RACI model?
Yeah, we have used in developing our level 3 and level 4 maps. We have used the RACI metrics, especially in the level 4 process.
Perfect. So can you, okay, so when I go to the next slide, can you just give your thoughts and your experience of RACI metric, what it does and how it helps the project?
RACI metrics, in fact, helps in defining the roles clearly as to who is responsible when it comes to a particular activity and who's accountable. And when it comes to certain decision making, whom do we consult, and who all should be informed of things that's happening on the project during the project phase. I hope I've answered.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. It's this is the crisp and the absolute right information. So thank you, Sangeeta. So, like she said, RACI metric, which stands for responsibility, accountability, consultation, and inform. These 4 elements that we look at here. So each team member in the team, they need to have a certain role defined already, because it should not be so that I am supposed to deliver an activity. I'm supposed to work on an activity and I do not know about it. Or similarly, I receive an email from a sponsor and asking me what is the status of the project. And I don't even know, because I was not aware that am I supposed to share this information, or am I supposed to share the status of the project? I don't know. Or there is someone who is very knowledgeable about a process and nobody knows that for when a problem comes or they need information inside, they can go to this person. The person is not aware, you are not aware either. Or there is someone who is an important stakeholder for this project and you did not tell them anything about the project, and you went on and at the end you wanted a sign off and they said, oh, hello, what project are you talking about? There is a project going on, I have no idea. So this is a complete mess. That should not happen. So to avoid such situations, RACI model is prepared, wherein each resource in that, now this resource can be you as a leader, obviously, 1 or 2 team member that you want to pick up for your project, the sponsor who is giving you all the resources, a black belt who, or a master black belt who is mentoring you. Similarly, there can be some key stakeholders who are not doing any activity, but you want to ensure that whenever you need any help, you can go and ask for some advice or you can consult. Similarly, some key members in the organizations who are directly or indirectly getting impacted by this project. So you would treat them also as a key party in these projects. They only need is like this project is going on, this is the update every month, just like communication that happens in your organization. So each one of them get one or combination of these roles assigned initial when we start the project. So how do we assign it? We simply write A, R, or C in front of them. Like this is defined phase, first phase. Resource 1 is accountable, resource 2 is responsible, resource 3 is consult role. And third one resource can be in an informed role. There are some key guidelines while we are doing a RACI diagram or a RACI model. The first key guideline is there should at least be one accountable for each activity. At least one accountable. For example, let's say this activity. There is no one accountable. So no one, so who will you ask and ask for the status of that particular project? That should not happen. At least one person should be accountable for any activity that is being performed. Similarly, there should not be more than one normally, but let's say the list goes to 2, you cannot have more than 2 accountable for a particular activity. Because if everyone is accountable, then who is really working on it? Nobody's working. Everyone is behaving as a project leader. Everyone is taking decisions. I will address the media. Just like a cricket team. 11 players, not all 11 players talk to the media after a match. It's the captain who talks to the media. Imagine everyone starts talking about the performance and how do they think about it. It will be a complete mess. Similarly, in a project, it's one person who has to be accountable, or can be 2 accountable also, depending how complex the project is. If there are approval stages, then it can be 2 accountable. So these are just some guidelines about the RACI that needs to be considered while assigning the roles and responsibilities in the team. When the RACI has been done, then we will also like to make a communication plan. A communication plan is it's again a general guideline in a project management, wherein you want to share the status of the project. Now you're doing a project, so you would of course have some meetings. You'll have some review meeting, you'll have some working sessions. So you will write the dates and details of those meetings. When a meeting going to happen, who will attend those meetings, who will share the invite, who all will be part of it, and who will set the agenda, who will share minutes of meeting, who all will attend, what will be the duration of it, what are the different dates on which the meeting will happen. So this is a plan. You do not just work on it as and when you go, no. If it's a Six Sigma project, and we're talking about data driven, we're talking about being disciplined, we're talking about being structured. So let's put this plan in the beginning of a project. Just like you're assigning roles, similarly, you're also putting this communication plan also in paper so that everyone will know. Every week there will be a working session for 2 hours. Every week we'll have a status update of this project, and these all people will receive. This person will send, and this is a format of minutes of meeting. And if you want to see any backdated minutes of meeting, you can go to this SharePoint where you can see all the meeting details. This information should be available. Nobody should ask you there, where do I go? Because this is the structure that we are looking at. Disciplined, structured methodology. So the entire process of this, even the project itself becomes so process driven that people are not asked for any update. Everything is published as a document, as a process. They're only launching the project now. This is a sample RACI we completed in one of the sessions. So now when we have this is some of just the components we have defined from the project charter. So I'll skip these slides about these as project charter details only. So now when we have defined the roles and responsibility of each individual member, the next step is now, before we launch the project, we would like to understand the process at a high level. And this high level process understanding, we would use a method to understand the process at a high level. We will call it process mapping. We're going to map a process now. So before we map a process, I mean, this portion will cover tomorrow, but let me ask you some questions. Now, all of you, I'm sure all of you would have created or captured or reported key performance indicators at some point of time in your career. Some of you may still be doing it. Some of you would have done it. Some of you, let's say, would do it. So how do you think a key performance indicator is created? What is the basis for it?
Sorry, I lost your voice. If you could just repeat that question again.
Sure. So key performance indicator that we are talking, this project also, which we are going to work on, the key performance indicator. So how do you decide that what should be the key performance indicator for a given process, which is nothing but measuring the process performance? We need a KPI or a key performance indicator. So how do you decide which KPI should I work at?
Which KPI should I work?
I think my understanding of KPI is something that is quantifiable. You can set a target.
Correct, you are right. But the question is, which KPI do I look at? And how do I decide that this is a KPI that is telling me the process performance? So on what basis do I determine the
We
process
need to
performance?
look at the lagging and leading indicators.
Very good. Yes. You are close. Build over it. Yeah, go ahead.
Those that we can control.
Those we can control, lagging and leading indicator. Yes. This is all fine. You are going in the right direction. But okay, leading and lagging indicator is a good, I will say, is a good approach. But okay, so what I'm going to tell you is actually is just one level below the leading and lagging indicator. It's like little more detail. So what you said is correct. I will simply add one statement onto leading and lagging indicators. So if you look at your process, every process, irrespective of which industry, which company, which organization, every process has certain input that the process requires. Similarly, every process produces some outputs, which is the common thing. So there are, how do you understand the performance or health of a process? For example, I'm saying quality of a process. So for you, quality is the performance of process. For example, if I say how many requests or how many customers have you acquired this month, or how many requests are coming to you, so you will say this is also a health of the process. But no, these are not health of the process. So let's say turnaround time to complete a process. That is a metric, KPI, coming from the process. This is a process metric. Quality of the process is an output metric. Number of complaints received is an output metric. Escalations by customer is a customer metric. Number of total volume, total number of requests is an input metric. Customer satisfaction is a customer metric. So that means there are different types of metric that we need to look at. So if you want to improve quality as a metric, you cannot improve quality as a metric, because if you have not categorized that, if you do not know what metric is that, it is an output metric or it's an input metric or a process metric. Unless you know that, all the efforts towards improving that metric will either be fail or will either result into a delay in improving it. Why? Because when you know that quality is an output metric, and output of a process depends on the process and the input that goes into that process. In order to improve quality as an output metric, we need to look at the process, the way it is designed, and the input that the process uses to produce a certain output. If you have a mobile which is defective, which is not a working mobile, so in order to improve the work, that mobile which is not working fine, you look at the process that produces that mobile and the input that the process uses to give you a defective mobile. So when you improve the process, which you can improve only when you improve the inputs, and inputs come from suppliers. So you have to improve the supplier metrics. That will improve your input metric. That will improve your process metric, and that will improve your output metric. And if your output metric is improved, your customer metric will also improve. So that means every metric that you're trying to improve, it has to fall in one of the buckets, either an input metric or a process metric or an output metric. It will always fall. It is just you have to understand where it is coming from, because there is a dependency. That metric is dependent on a previous metric. So you have to improve that metric and not the one which is in question. So hiring cycle time. Yeah,
so
go
just
ahead,
a
go ahead.
question. So is it smart to have or to establish and maintain, input metrics, process metrics, and output metrics? That's what I'm getting from you.
So okay, so you do not establish it like this, the way I'm saying. You prepare a KPI framework for every process. For example, when you have a process in place, you want to assess or measure the health of the process, you have 6-7 KPIs, for example, right? In a dashboard, you have 6-7 KPIs. So in a KPI framework, you should also always write, like, for example, turnaround time, quality, escalation, all these. What type of metric is that? Is it input metric or a process metric? So write it in that way, so that if you want to improve it, you will need to know, in order to improve this, where do I need to put the effort? In order to reduce the hiring cycle time of a recruitment process, you do not improve the hiring cycle time. If you look at the Y equal to Fx, hiring cycle time itself is nothing. It's an output. It is dependent on many factors. So you have to work on those factors, which is nothing but the inputs. If you correct the input, output will automatically be better. So always in the KPI, always trying to understand which bucket does it lie. Input metric, process metric, and output metric, especially when you are working on process improvement projects. Then you will know where to focus. And this will,
Shivan, I
yes,
believe it is also equally important for us to identify our goals, and it should be part of our key questions, like why do you need to establish your KPI? What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve? And that would give us an
absolutely,
idea on how to build a smart approach, right?
absolutely right.
Okay.
So the question is, like, whatever KPI that you are talking about, input, process, and output, it all has to speak with the strategic objectives of the organizations. So the strategic objective of the organization, you break it down to functional objectives. Functional objectives become tactical objectives, and tactical objectives is nothing but your KPIs at your departmental level. Customer satisfaction is not a tactical objective. Customer satisfaction is a strategic objective. You want to keep your customers happy. Turnaround time is a very tactical objective at a process level. So all the KPIs which you are using to measure the health of the process, they should all correspond to one of those objectives: tactical, functional, or strategic. If none of these KPIs speak to any of the objective, then you do not look at that KPI. Then that KPI is of no use. If it is not even supporting any of those objectives, then why are you measuring it? Nobody's bothered about it. And even if you want to improve also, you will not get support, because that is not important for anyone in the leadership. So that is when you pick up a project, like this KPI speak to these objective. If this KPI needs to be improved over a period of time, so that has to be a Six Sigma project. That is how Six Sigma project directly translate to the business strategy. So that is why they are part of the culture organization. That is why it is driven from the top, because every project needs to have a connect with one of the strategy, one of the objectives in the organization. So tomorrow when we connect, we will look at this concept more specifically, process mapping, because this is going to be a very important subject in this entire training program. So any question from anyone before we close session for today? Anyone?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so if there are no questions, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And meanwhile, you all please join the WhatsApp group. If all of you can join it, it would be really good, so that we can share a lot of best practices, a lot of information in the WhatsApp group. And yes, it would be very good from the communication point of view. If you have any suggestions also, I've given my number in the WhatsApp in this chat window. If you have any suggestions, if you want to convey any message or something, you can always ping me, and we can do that. So yes, good connecting with all of you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Till then, have a good day, stay safe, and good night and good evening to everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shivan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.